It's been said before, and I'll say it again. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. So where would you rather be than right here and right now on the Ralph Rant? Let's go.
Welcome to the Ralph Rant, your source for hard-hitting Buffalo Bills takes. Now, here's your host of the Ralph Rant, that veteran watcher of generations of Bills teams, the prophet who predicted Josh Allen's greatness, that opinionated so-and-so you've walked out on parties because of, the Ralph.
Good evening. Welcome to the Ralph Rant. This is the pregame show. The Buffalo Bills find themselves deep in the heart of Texas on their longest road trip of the season, and the only time they depart the Eastern time zone this entire season, except for the Super Bowl, where they will be, of course, out in the Pacific time zone. So here we go tonight. The Bills at the Houston Texans. First of all, I want to thank everyone who hung in with me on our show the other night, where we had some audio problems here that were completely unbeknownst to me over my own foolishness. But we've got it fixed tonight, and I hope it's coming through nice and loud and clear. I'll hopefully see something in the comments about that. And I should check right now rather than wait till halfway through the show to find out if the sound is good. But I don't see any complaints yet, so we are going to get to all of your comments like we always do here on the show. But we're going to get it started with a few thoughts of mine. And, of course, it came out, and I find this fascinating, that Keon Coleman is once again a healthy scratch for the Bills tonight. And we are waiting here. We've got X open and waiting to get word on what the actual inactives will be for tonight. We could probably expect some of the same names, Chase Lunt, for example, but Keon Coleman, of course. And then Brandon Codrington is back on the practice squad. He has not been elevated, but we'll talk about some other roster moves the Bills have made. But back on the Keon Coleman situation, a couple of things on this. Now, I said the other night on the show following the game, it wasn't the post-game show, but after that Keon Coleman might well be down again this week based on how well the Bills performed in his absence. But the other situation is the fact that we have now receivers that are injured, and Mecole Hardman actually has been placed on injured reserve. And also, Curtis Samuel, big surprise, is out with a neck and an elbow issue. Now, I had thought that if we had two receivers, and of course, Mecole Hardman is part of that receiver core, maybe down the depth chart in terms of just having started with the team, but nonetheless part of the receiver core. And so he's out and actually on IR with the calf issue that he apparently suffered on the punt return that was fumbled. But the fact that Coleman is out also made me think that, okay, well, yeah, the Bills might want to be punishing Keon Coleman, Sean McDermott, with whatever he and Coleman have going on. We know some of the story. But the fact that he's going to be down again tonight with the Bills missing two other receivers really tells you something about what the situation is. And if that wasn't enough, of course, the fact that McDermott even made this public to begin with, even back to the series benching that we saw a few games ago, and then, of course, last few days ago here on Sunday, he was down for the Patriots game. I'm going to get them off my mind. The Buccaneers game. So again tonight, we've learned, and this tells me a number of things, and you've heard my theory on this before. I'll probably end up repeating myself, but it tells me, number one, that the Bills really liked what they got, especially out of Tyrell Shavers and Gabe Davis last week. I mean, their performance was great. Shavers was actually the top receiver. Gabe Davis made some key catches at some very key moments in the game. So that's one point of it. You could say, well, if Coleman even had been the very best kid, the very best student, whatever, hardest worker in practice, making every meeting, if he still wasn't productive, that would be tough to put him on the field over guys that are productive. So I find that to be interesting. And of course, number two, of bringing back the point that Sean McDermott having made this public the whole time. And the last two times, and I'll repeat this because I said it before, the last two times that Sean McDermott has gone public about a player that is being punished or benched or whatever it may be, both of those instances resulted in that player being off the team, actually maybe even sooner than next season. And those two situations, of course, were Stephon Diggs, right or wrong, good or bad, and also Marcel Darius, pardon me. I believe that was actually McDermott's first season here, and that the 2017 season, and Darius was giving him these kind of problems and just trying to be a rebel. And McDermott is not going to stand for that. He's proven that. So you don't know where on the balance scale, which side is weighting the fact that we're not going to see him in the game tonight. Is it more punishment, or is it the fact of how well the Bills actually performed in his absence? Those are the two questions. So that would be the first item with Coleman. But then the other thing, of course, is this whole backdoor insider theory, and I'm not an insider, of course, but the fact that Josh Allen, we know, played a big role in getting Keon Coleman onto the Buffalo Bills with what was essentially their first pick after they traded away their pick to Kansas City in order to move up in the second round, and they moved to the very first pick of the second round also, and with that pick took Keon Coleman. I'm not so sure Brandon Beane maybe is excited about that as you would say. If you catch Ty Dunn and Jim Monos on the Go Long podcast, Jim Monos talks about they give the same spiel every time they go up after a draft pick. Yep, just the guy we were wanting, hoping to get him. No, I don't think Beane was happy with that. I don't think the scouting department liked that pick very much. And maybe the fact that he was being played a lot this year was due in part to, okay, we want to see how he develops. Give him a chance. Give him those minutes on the field like we always talk about. The other thing may have been McDermott just proving that this guy's a bad pick. And I wonder if that directly or indirectly put more pressure on Josh Allen, who may himself, and listen, Josh is a great guy, wouldn't want to hurt anyone or anything. He's good as gold. There's no deviousness or anything of that nature, no pretentiousness. So if he felt badly, for example, that Keon Coleman is on this team, I wonder what kind of pressure that was putting on him through parts of the season when Coleman was playing by far a larger percentage of the offensive snaps than any other receiver on the team. And not only do you remove Coleman from the equation, maybe removing some of that pressure from Josh Allen, maybe proving Sean McDermott's point that without that pressure, we saw how Josh Allen played last week. And we hope it continues this week. Like I said, hopefully this has not been enough time for Joe Brady to overthink his game plan for tonight and allow Josh to go out and be an artist. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But staying on this Coleman situation, he is down again tonight. And my goodness, if they needed him at all with the absence of two other receivers, he'd be in there. But I don't think you have the teams component. And we do know, other than that, they brought up Gabe Davis, of course, for a second time. Now, Gabe's still in the practice squad. This is his second of 3 allowable elevations. And if this goes well tonight, where Gabe is Gabe, the way Gabe is supposed to be, the way we remember Gabe when Gabe was in the right role on this team, and if this goes at all well tonight with Gabe, I think you're going to see him signed to the active roster. Now, I don't know how you handle Keon Coleman because he's occupying a roster spot, even if he is an inactive. So I don't know. That's that they may want to hang on to him and see if he develops. He's still young, but I'll tell you what, I would definitely suspect that Gabe Davis is going to get signed to the active because they are going to run out of elevations on him. So again, and we've seen in some of the notes already here in everyone that's come in, and we've got a lot of guys in here already. Charles Stone in the house, of course, as always. JP, yes. Jason Bush is in the house. Boston sports fan 63. Cecil McDonald is here with us. Cecil, how are things in wonderful Portugal? An audio is fine. Thank you very much, sir. Jeff is in the house here. JPS again. Let's see. Who else we have? Ed Ryan is here. And going down the list, we're going to get to all your comments, guys. I'm not even reading them yet because I want to be surprised. Let's see. Ed Ryan, I believe we mentioned you. And if you are in, just go ahead and leave a comment. And if you're over on X watching, you can go ahead and comment there too. I do have X open on the phone here to respond to some of those. And also I've got it open to be ready for the inactives, which we should be getting in about 62 minutes from now. So that's the first item basically on these elevations. Now, in addition to Gabe Davis being elevated as Kaliki Latu, our tight end, who, of course, in place of Kincaid, who probably, if this had been a Sunday game and not a Thursday game, a few more days of rest, perhaps he's back out there. I think it's better that now they've got the mini bye and he has a chance to hopefully be prepared for Pittsburgh. And speaking of games, let's just fit in the quick note. Charles Stone brought it to my attention. I did see a bit earlier directly from the Bills about an hour or so ago that the game versus the Bengals, where the Bengals will visit Buffalo on December 7th, and I will be at that game, actually, and we'll be doing a show from there. We're interested to see that game was moved. It was a 425 contest. 425s are sort of almost prime time, if you will. So it actually surprises me that they moved that game, especially with the fact that Joe Burrow has been practicing. We might see him this Sunday even, and very possibly next Sunday. His window's been open from the IR. And perhaps the thought is that the Bengals are not competing for anything, even if Joe Burrow comes back. But I'm a little surprised that game got moved. But anyway, continuing here. Yeah, we got that covered. We've got all the inactives we'll have, but we've covered the injuries. What are we thinking about tonight? Well, first of all, I've got to go to what happened Sunday. And the title of the last show I did was, what the hell was that? What did we just see? Because that was so different than anything we've seen all season. Basically, earmarked by the fact that Josh Allen, for the second time in his career, 2 seasons in a row now, has scored 6 touchdowns, 3 by pass and 3 running. And the 6 touchdown mark before him had only been done by Otto Graham in 1954. So really, 1954 is not really the modern era of football. So Josh Allen is definitely, just change the second L to an I. Alien, definitely alien. But the point I want to make about Josh is whatever happened last Sunday, if it was the fact that the run was getting stopped, Tampa Bay with a lot of guys in the box, some very immovable people in the middle of Tampa Bay's defensive line, like Vita Vea. And the inside zones and then the outside, I didn't see him try a few wide zones, but they just couldn't get outside at all on these guys because there was defenders getting in the box, and they had, more people in the box. And that in part probably was an influence why the Bills turned to the passing game and opened up the passing game as it appeared to be. And again, we always talk about symptoms and causes. Some of the symptoms of it being better, maybe not the cause, and I'll get to what I think the cause is, but the symptom is Gabe Davis being out there looking like Gabe Davis. Tyrell Shavers having the day he had. And I saw somebody's got a comment in about that. We're going to get to that. Those are symptoms of it. Throwing touchdowns to two different backs that got away on long runs. Guys throwing blocks, especially wide receivers, and the blocking that we're seeing there. All symptoms of it. But what it is, and this is kind of where I've gotten to on my thought process, because you've got to look at Josh Allen in this situation and what he's accomplished and what he is. And do we really understand what he is? Josh Allen is not a technician. He doesn't engineer drives. He doesn't manage games. On the football field, Josh Allen is an artist. An artiste. That's when you stick the E at the end. Josh Allen is an artist. He's an artist. And Joe Brady cannot put out there in a passing game a paint-by-numbers situation. It's not right. Because Josh is an artist and he's able to create. And let's face it, when you're talking about scheme, if you're able to go out on that field and create on the fly, not to what the lineup was before you snapped the ball, but to what is developing right now. Is it a single high to two drop? You got a free runner inside and an open spot behind it. All of these things. And if Josh can be the artist and Brady can create the easel and canvas for him and the palette of colors, the guys that he can throw to, and the way he can mix those colors to create this art, be unstoppable, because you're actually reacting to what players are doing at this instant, not how they lined up a second and a half ago. And I think that this is what needs to happen. And what I got tired of today was listening to talking heads like Colin Cowherd. I didn't even bother listening to Nick Wright. He was so pitiful the other day after the Chiefs went 5-5. But even the guy is on Good Morning Football. I just can't understand and cannot stand listening to them talking about the fact that the Bills need to have Josh Allen be this great in order for them to work. That always is such a negative sounding thing because it makes it sound like the rest of the Bills aren't any good. And if they didn't have him in place, maybe wouldn't be winning any games. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that at all. We know the great components of this team. We've got an excellent running back. Maybe get the best third down back in the league at Ty Johnson. The offensive line is prime and has played together so much. The offensive line the Bills are facing tonight has been a piecemeal business the entire season for the Texans. The receiving core is better. And you can say all you want about Gabe Davis and Buffalo bringing back retreads and all this other stuff. Hey, Jordan Poyer and Gabe Davis look really, really good for the Buffalo Bills right now. Poyer's been a godsend for Cole Bishop, as we know. Don't even need to get into that. We know it. And I think there's a comfort level for Josh Allen having somebody from the old band back and being able to throw to him. And Shavers is creating confidence, always by himself. Now, this is a good secondary tonight, although Jalen Petrie, the outstanding safety for the Texans, is out. And that's been declared. And C.J. Stroud, of course, is also out. The Bills will be facing Davis Webb at quarterback. I'm sorry. I don't know where I get up with Mills. Make sure I have that name right. But tonight, running game. I do look to see the return of James Cook having some success. When James Cook can get 6 or 7 yards on first down, it completely changes the Bills' offense because the options available to Josh Allen on that down and distance are countless. Tonight's opponent, the Texans, their defensive line, their tackles are more penetration style defensive tackles as opposed to immovable blocks, Vita Vea being one of the best examples of that in the league. And that's what the Bills were trying to do. And frankly, I think they were trying to stay away from inside zone because of how tough that interior defensive line of Tampa Bay was. But what they found is that Tampa Bay knew they weren't going that way. Their defense, their secondary linebackers, they triggered and they filled up whatever gap was available to James Cook. And there were a number of gap runs the Bills were trying where you're looking for a specific gap. In the zone situation, of course, the running back will make the existing blocks work for him more than sort of having it laid out for him, allowing James Cook to be more of an artist. And so I'd look for the inside zone a little bit tonight, a little bit more. Intermediate passing game. Houston does run a lot of quarters coverage, which might be too deep and too mid, but it's 4 spacing across the field. So it's not like it's like more like a 2 high, not a single high. So the middle of the field in an intermediate basis might be more open to the Bills. And I would hope to see the Bills use a little more play action and be able to hit backs or maybe even tight ends in that middle of the field area. And really the last big comment I have for this evening, this is a backup quarterback the Bills are playing. And I think the Bills, or as in most cases, a Thursday game is tough because if you're traveling to a Thursday game, and of course you've normally been home the week prior, but this isn't a bunch of time zones, and it's their longest trip, but it's not a terribly long trip, as it were. So I have a feeling that they did concentrate on resting the players this week. And I have a feeling that the Bills might be more apt to be picking up where they left off last Sunday when they won going away versus the Buccaneers. And I realize that Houston's defense has been touted number 1 in the league. I think the fewest yards and fewest points, averaging fewest yards and fewest points across the league. But I'm sorry, you've had the Titans in there for 2 games. I think that the stats are a little bit weighted or unweighted, if you will, by that. But I think the defense is going to be improved tonight. I think TJ Sanders is going to have a better night after having gotten back into it last week. That's important, those games back. I think AJ Epinesa is going to have a better night tonight. We're hearing about Max Hairston. If you go watch the Match Quarters episode, they're talking about his technique is really special, very special. This is just not a speedster and ball hawk. definitely has it going on. Max Hairston. And Cole Bishop, of course, we're looking for him to improve. He's intercepted balls now in a couple of games. I think the Bills are going to be tough tonight. I think the Bills are going to be very tough. But let's get to your comments because there's a bunch of them, and I'm going to steam through them, but I get to them all. So we'll go through some quick. We know this, that Buffalo elevated Latu and Gabe, and the Bills are placing Mecole Hardman on injured reserve. We got to that. Excuse me. The Week 14 being moved up to 1 p.m. I thought that was interesting. Yes, then that is the game I'll be going to. Absolutely. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, and nobody spams the chat like JPS. Let's do this, Ralph. I love it. Thanks for being here. You got to have a spammer on your chat. It's like not having ice in your drink. What's going on? Let's effing go, Buffalo. Jason Bush. Talk that up, brother. Talk it up. Should be a good game, but I need the Texans to win. You're 9-2. You don't need anything. You don't need anything. The problem is, for the Patriots, which is a good thing for the Patriots also, is they've won a number of games. I think, the winning streak right now is really getting out there. And I have a feeling that a tough game could be coming. And it could well be a game where it is very unexpected that it'll be a tough game for the Patriots. Jason Bush in the house. Bills 24, Texans 17. All right, let's write it down. Audio is fine. Thank you, Cecil. Go Bills. Is Coleman out tonight? Yes. Audio sounds great. Break out your guitar for us. I may have to do that at some point. I could actually do a show because do some stuff. And of course, you do get to hear me because all the music you do hear on this show, the intro song, the look at the timer, wait, to watch the show. That music is all off my album Gleaming. Yeah, Palmer and Kincaid out. Kincaid out for sure. Yeah, Palmer is. Yeah, thank you. And I did not mention Palmer earlier. Yes, Palmer is up tonight, and we saw him make a couple of great catches in good spots last week. I expect more out of Palmer and more out of Josh being able to be an artist, because maybe Joe Brady will figure it out. Just step back and just sort of set things for him to be able to do this. Do you think the Pats hold on for the division? Do you think the Bills still win it? Well, we'll see. It's a tough situation right now, and the Bills are 2 games behind right now. Could be a game and a half after tonight, and we'll see what happens this weekend. There's still a lot of football to be played. I think that's all I will say to that. That Ryan is here. I think with their strength of secondary, they wanted to save him some face. If you're, I don't know who you're referring to there, but perhaps if that was Coleman, I think if you're wanting to save a player's face would be the last reason. On the top of the list is the first reason is, we want to win this game with guys that are catching the ball. Boston sports fan, right now Pats have a 72 odds to win the division. Yeah. Why not? Wide receivers may have issues tonight. Hope we see lots of passes to the RBs and tight ends. Yeah, you're going to need that kind of situation. Although don't be surprised if the Bills go after them with the wide receivers a little bit. Because if the Bills really want to take it to these guys, you want to punch them right in their strongest part, because if you can do that to start, that's going to have advantages. And I just have a feeling that this Bills team is like Secretariat, starting to get at the part of the race where you're going to start really running. Coleman out tonight being a blessing. I agree. And absolutely hit that like button, as Jason Bush says. And if you are new to the show and watching on YouTube, I urge you to take the nanosecond required to just hit that subscribe button. We're past 1,000 subs. We made that before the end of the season. Very happy about that. Now we're heading for 2,000, but it's been a little bit slow lately. But I promise to have the audio better like this from now on. So maybe we'll get more subs. But whatever the reason may be that's holding you up from it, go ahead and hit subscribe. Like the videos, of course, and share and comment, because all of that is great. And I love the comments, of course, because they do form the inspiration for the shows here at the Ralph Rant. Yeah, but his numbers are far better than Worthy. And I think if we're talking about, I don't know who we're talking about there, who you're comparing it to, but Worthy has, it's been tough all over for the Chiefs this year. I think the Chiefs definitely have some problems, and I'll tell you what, the one beauty of a Thursday night game is to see all these big games this weekend, which I will watch every single one of them, of course. I always watch the Bills live, but all the other games I'll go through and watch basically YouTube TV Sunday Ticket, and essentially let games get started because every single one of them is recorded, and you're basically fast forwarding in between each play, 30 seconds. The fast forward available to you is 15 seconds. Now tonight on Amazon, and of course, I'll be watching this live, as will you. But on Amazon, you can get a Chrome extension to get you out of having to use just that daffy mouse-activated 10 seconds forward. I made that change last week, got it to 30 seconds, and watched that game, and it was great. It's a video speed controller. It's a Chrome extension. Highly recommended. Kay Adams reported that Tyrell Shavers led the entire NFL in average yards of separation from coverage last week. You know, you could do that statistically, and I said this after the game last week. Did you ever see anybody right around Tyrell Shavers? The only time was when he stopped in that zone and then didn't attack the ball and the pass got knocked away from him. A lesson I'm sure he's taken to heart. Because if you're standing there and you got a ball coming at you, go attack it. Because if you don't catch it, you might get hit by a defender trying to come in and get an interference call. So always attack the ball. Cecil McDoug, maybe about Coleman. Bills ex-personnel manager came out this week and said the Bills should cut Coleman. Was that Monos? I don't know if it would be a good idea, though. I don't think so quite yet. I mean, this is a guy on a rookie deal. He's not really harming your salary cap as much as maybe some other situations are. And I think the Bills have learned from a few instances in the past to maybe have a little bit more patience. They should have kept Punk God. Matt Araiza was apparently blameless in that situation he was involved in. You know, who are some others? Wyatt Teller. The Bills drafted Wyatt Teller, who's been a staunch starting guard for the Cleveland Browns for years and years. They got rid of him early. So I don't think you do that. And again, as Ed Ryan states, he's still on a rookie contract. Cecil's back exactly. You don't want to cut early round draft picks. Better try to find a trade, but probably nobody wants him. Quite probable. Love the show. Brennan Peters in the house. Well, if you do, sir, I expect to see your subscription and would be honored by it. Thanks very much for watching. We're at 6:06 p.m. now. We've been at it for about 37 minutes. We've got about that long again to wait to get to the inactives for tonight's game. I'd like to point about maybe Josh pressing a little more with Keon on the field since he reportedly advocated for him in the draft. Hadn't considered it that way. Yeah, and you know, to finish that point for you, like Paul Harvey used to be on the radio when I was a kid, every noon doing news reporting, such as my news anchor voice. And he would always say, now for the rest of the story. So now for the rest of the story. Because this leads to what happened on the day of the trade deadline the other week, where Brandon Beane couldn't or wouldn't make a deal for Miami receiver Jalen Waddle. And my information is that the deal that was being offered was the 2027 Bills first round pick, and I believe a third rounder from 2026 coming up here. And the Dolphins wanted the 2026 first round and third round, so not having to wait a year for their first round pick. And Beane would not make the deal. And I think Beane wouldn't make the deal because Beane behind the scenes is really pissed off that Josh Allen, not at Josh, but that Josh Allen had a say over their scouting department in bringing in Keon Coleman, who had found success because he was on a Power 5 team and was able to get open against kids that are a foot shorter than him. You know, that stuff doesn't always translate to the professional level. But moreover, the point here is that if Beane was pissed about that, and now the point is being driven home that you could bring back a retread receiver and, you know, feature a guy that's been on your practice squad for 3 years and made the 53 this year, and show that you do so well without Keon Coleman. I think what it comes down to is Brandon Beane said, no and fuck no. I'm not giving up that first round pick in 26. You guys had your fun with that. And Jalen Waddle might be good for this team. And of course, the very same thing that happened to McCole Hardman, who we got, you know, basically Salvation Army level price. That same thing could have happened to Jalen Waddle in 1 week. And where would you be? I mean, we wanted to see some activity, and I was mad, and Brandon Beane said he was mad, as we all were. But I'm telling you, that's why that deal wasn't made, because there's no way he's giving up another first-round pick, and moreover, he's going to make up for the fact of not having that first-round pick by adding another really good player to this squad on a rookie contract. And he's got a right to maybe say, this is Brandon Beane talking now, to say he's correct, because Maxwell Hairston looks like a dream. I mean, look what's going on there. So that's the rest of the story on that, I believe, and how it connects to the the trade deadline, rather. Mixing my words here. I'm hoping we score quickly and often. Morning Man is here. I know who you are. I remember you. You have a pretty cool site. And yes, I hope we score quickly and often. And let Josh be the artist. Let just the good thoughts of the team and the team's utilizing the law of attractions, right, Morning Mayan? Using the law of attractions and just create this reality that they know they can create now from last week, where this was football at a pure creative level, and done so with a guy like Josh Allen and some receivers that can get a little bit open and guys that block. You know, this is not what these talking heads say, that this is the nothing team that's being supported by this guy. This is a unique situation. I'm sorry, Josh Allen, I mean, he is the best football player in the National Football League. You cannot help but say he is, and you can't help but, I mean, this crap of going, oh, they have to put the team on his shoulders. Well, you could put any team on his shoulders. Ed Ryan, 8 games at 1 p.m. and only 3 at 4 p.m. That will be a challenge. And I'll end up watching those as we go through because I could do probably about, 4 at a time, 5 at max works. Go through, get to the end of the quarter on this one, jump to the next one. You're watching them almost as fast as the condensed versions that the NFL puts out when they are available. Fox wanted the Bears-Packers divisional game. Okay. I'm not nationwide. Okay. And is that, I'm assuming that's going to be a late game. And if that's, and I think if you're talking about having to do with the Bills and, because they would have had to go national with that, Bills and Bengals. I'm not sure that's what you're talking about on that one, though. I love the fact the Bills were throwing to the running backs finally. They need to do that again tonight. Well, they do indeed, because especially with the sort of they like to cap their coverage and prevent anything from getting away because they're running largely quarters. And then they've got one good coverage linebacker. The other linebacker is more of a downhill trigger guy. I mean, if you can get some things going in that inside zone game with James Cook, and then start actually running some play action off of that. I mean, you don't have to throw on the very first down, Joe Brady. I mean, if you want to, fine, just as long as we're not back at our own 3-yard line. I loved his attempt for the lateral pass. That was awesome. And truthfully, the whole thing is that, and they'll learn from this, is that Ty should have stayed further back because he's got to have Josh really aim that ball backwards because, of course, the ball is already moving at the speed Josh is running. So when Josh throws it in that direction, the ball, of course, is going to continue moving forward at the same speed it was moving whilst in Josh's hands. Now, we're talking about Einstein, special theory of relativity here, and which explains eternity and all that other stuff, but it also explains why that was an illegal forward pass. But yeah, absolutely. And that should be, I don't know if you could practice it. I don't know if you're ever going to have it in a particular play type setting because it's too obvious. It just should be something that's sort of top of mind in a case like that. If you've got guys running downfield. Amazed being an alien despite all his blunders. I still don't think he reads D's that well. Well, that may or may not be. He might just read them in a different way, which is what I'm talking about with this artist sort of standpoint. And I think the other thing too is the fact that we saw him actually throw to some open guys. I mean, I get your point. But damn, how many games are you watching? Even with the Chiefs, as shitty as they've been this year, there's guys open. You always see guys open. Oh, look, he's open. Look how open that guy is. And you really weren't seeing it with the Bills. And whatever they did last week to open that up more, and Ty Shavers just maybe he's got a knack for it. Or maybe there's not enough film and they haven't figured him out yet. Who knows? But Gabe Davis, the wily veteran, the bearded elder, you got to love it. And Gabe, I mean, it's clear to me that the Gabe just knows how to find a spot and get thrown to. And that's a lot of what Josh needs. Josh does not need to anticipate throws like in a structured timing passing game. 3-step drop, pitch, throw to that spot. Maybe it's the hash mark, and it's a receiver running across. And if that receiver runs at speed X and makes his cut at point Y and then comes open at point Z, the ball will be there. That's like a Kyle Shanahan type of offense. That's Brock Purdy, that sort of thing. Josh Allen is different. He's an artist, and he's also very, very capable because it enables him to throw the football to a person with having to lead the ball far less, because he is able to throw the ball with such velocity that it gets there quicker. Defenders have less of a time to try to deal with it, and he has to worry less about leading someone because the ball is fast enough that the lead doesn't need to be that far. And I think that's just what you have to do. It's not like the only way the Bills can win. The Bills have proven they can win with a running game, and Josh Allen being something of a game manager. And if there's games you can win like that, fine, be versatile. But understand also that you've got this ability to create artwork on the field. And we saw a lot of artwork last Sunday. And the artist just exploded out of his own skin and spiked the ball. You could see emotion from him you had not seen. And again, like I said last show, there hasn't been enough time for Joe Brady to overthink a game plan and screw tonight up, because the Bills will want to do what looks good, feels good. That was fun. I want to go do that again. And then just this week, give consideration to doing that against what they're facing in terms of the defense tonight, and how that defense physically and schematically differs from the one they faced last time. Let's continue with your comments here. Over 50% screen pass. Well, I don't know if you're going to see over 50, but I'll tell you what, I'd run a few more, and I try to do some that were just don't take a long time to develop. I mean, they've got speedy guys in their secondary that can get to these things quickly. This is why I worry about going outside shallow a lot, because when things take time to develop, the guys people be firing down. Now, if you want to fake that, but that's why you're talking about running inside zone tonight. Bill's good old inside zone, where you've got a situation, and you'll notice all five linemen will be moving one way or the other. And what happens is cutback lanes are formed, and the back with good vision, like James Cook, can actually select which of those best would suit him to get through. And again, if the Bills can do that and get 6-7 yards on a number of first down plays with James Cook running, that's what puts them in rhythm. I'm going to keep on going here with your comments. And his accuracy is suspect many times. Oh, listen to you, get all over him. What? The accuracy? What? He made the bonehead move when he tried to flick the ball down at the 3 with that first interception. The other one got tipped up. And then when he threw to Gilliam, if you didn't hear his press conference, the ball actually hit his thigh pad when he was coming out and was still kind of wobbling in his hand a little bit. He had to get it out, and it sailed on him. Josh Allen is not inaccurate. Screens and passes behind the line may not work against the Texans defense. Again, with that, they've got a speedy and good secondary. You got to go directly. Don't try to go around him. Go up and hit him in the mouth. Well, those passes worked last week. Ty Johnson took that throw, that little swing route from Josh and housed it. So Gerganelli is in the house. Thanks very much for joining the show. Again, if you're not subscribed to the Ralph Rant, please go ahead and do so. Like we always say, it just takes a nanosecond. And we're going to start maybe getting some merch out. We've got these cool Ralph Rant t-shirts that have got the Bills. Basically, this is the throwback uniform stripes on the shoulders. And how good did they look last week? But yeah, I've got on, the white tonight, matching the Bills, who will be in road whites this evening. And I do love those uniforms. All right, here comes another Josh Allen complaint. One factor that made the Bills so super potent all these years was due to Allen's runs. When he runs, the team scores at will. Yeah, and they had some more designed runs for him, actually, this last week. I mean, they ran the same that same power to the right side twice for his touchdown runs last week, and the other one when Gilliam came and just pushed him through, he was like a cork coming out of a champagne bottle. That was pretty cool. Allen's accuracy got better later in the game. He needs to get in the zone and maintain that level of emotional sync. Well, I think early on it was kind of tough for Allen last week, and I think how can you not have the Miami thing in mind a little bit? But you saw the team fight their way out of that, and it developed as the game went. And even to the point where, they won the damn game going away. If it was another quarter long, it would have been another touchdown more. And it's interesting because 2 years ago, even though they lost the game to the Buccaneer Brady's, the Brady Buccaneers, sorry about that. But even though they lost that game, the team really came together. That's what put them to 6-6. But they went on from there. But I think this team, it's something about playing the Buccaneers that just flips a switch for this club. And the switch got flipped 2 years ago, and we saw what happened. I think they went on to beat New Orleans on the Thanksgiving night game. I don't know if it was that season or not. Let's continue here. Allen's runs make it like the single wing, adds an extra player involved in the play instead of just handing off and watching after that. Yeah, absolutely. You've added an extra person to the blocking surface because the quarterback is carrying the ball. And absolute for sure. And we may see some of that. A lot of it is going to be based on how well the inside zone does with James Cook. And if Josh could get in a rhythm with a few layups in the intermediate holes to like Gabe, Tyrell Shavers, maybe Ty Johnson, Ray Davis. I look for Ray Davis to be involved in the passing game a bit more tonight, although we will see him, of course, back on returns again. And I don't know who they'll have back there with him. It's an interesting thought. Nick Wright sucks. He was supposed to shave his head after the Chiefs lost, and then he came out with a BS that his contract won't allow him to shave his head. I guess his contract also doesn't allow him to get a nose job. No, Nick. Well, I saw that, and yeah, they're stepping on him pretty good. And truthfully, I think the Bills have handled Miami so well for so long that when they went into that game down at the stadium formerly known as Joe Robbie, thinking that this will just be another tap dance on the Dolphins, because why? Well, because we just got done handling the AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs. But dudes, I'm here to tell you, dudes and ladies that are out here in the audience tonight, I know there's at least one, and Taylor Salty might even be along at some point here too, but just as a visitor. But let's just look at where we are with this team and what it could possibly be. Davis Mills, thank you. It's not Davis Webb. It's Davis Webb is a coach. And Davis Webb was associated with the Bills. So Mills, Bills. Thank you very much. Nobody is talking about the absence of Epinesa. Well, I mean, it hurt him in Miami. He got the concussion sometime during the previous game, and then he didn't play versus Miami. He was then back this past week and good to go. Perhaps a touch of rust, but he's back now. So I think we'll be talking about him being in there tonight. Dennis Maximchuk is in the house. I'm a simple man. If Ralph is ranting, I join. Thank you very much, sir. And we're ranting tonight with much better audio, as you can hear, because we can go anywhere from being the Ralph Rant to Van Miller. There's Allen, single man in the shotgun. He's back to throw. He's got a man down there, and he's in for the score. It's Tyrell Shavers. Or we can be that FM host playing the hits for you all night. But we'll just stick to being the Ralph Rant. Thanks very much for being along. And again, subscribe to the show. Yeah, AJ hasn't been absent other than last week. Exactly. Probably AJ's best season so far. You know what? Isn't it funny how when you get a guy like Joey Bosa in, how that can kind of rub off and affect a guy like Epinesa, who maybe just needs to see him more. Epinesa's fast off the line. He's a good ball player. I mean, and we've seen him get his hands on some passes tonight. And of course, the pressure will be really important tonight because Davis Mills goes to his first read most of the time. And when you have a situation like that and he's first used to seeing that first guy and you can get him off that spot, he does poorly when he has to go look for his second read. So hopefully AJ is part of that manhandling tonight. Paul Chandler is in the house. Let's go Bills. Indeed. 6:29 now. We are now some 16 minutes from the inactives. Yeah, he's been playing his lights out. I think we're talking about Ed. Will the defense play more man versus a backup quarterback? It's tough to say what they're going to do. And the notion of being man or zone, as it like being a Boolean choice of one or the other. Excuse me. It's a little bit more than that because you have a lot of match coverage that happens, and I've studied this a little bit. I'm by no means a defensive expert, but it's kind of interesting. You set up either triangles or boxes with your back seven, 3-point or 4-point, and there are rules as to which guy goes where based on who he's keying on. And so what happens then is like you're not covering an area of grass. The zone is almost more like, don't call it a zone, maybe call it a like route coverage, if you wish, because it's based on what they're seeing a particular man doing, the X, Y, and Z receivers or the back or the tight end, whatever that key is. If they go this direction, like normally in a match coverage situation, if you've got a back that's running, a running back that's going out into the flat to take a swing pass, normally the rule is for the cornerback to go down on him and hit him if he gets the ball. And then you'll have either the slot or one of your safeties take a vertical if, say the Y receiver is there and goes vertical. So it's complex, but that's more or less what the Bills will play. But at times, I think, you'll definitely see, like for example, tonight, Nico Collins is far and away the biggest targeted, most successful receiver and a great receiver. And he's a big guy for the Texans. And maybe you want to put Max Hairston on there. I just got the indication here. I just heard from the Bills. Where is it? Over here, I guess. Yes. This is Arrival Outfits. Yeah, no, we don't need to see that. We're waiting for. I thought they were a little bit early with the inactives. Sean McDermott would never do that. He keeps as much information as he can out. But in answer to your question, Scott 5566, if that indeed is what it is, they might just be initials too. But I think in this kind of case, you're going to want to try to get some pressure on him. So I think you might see some pressure looks, especially against the offensive line of the Texans, who has not necessarily really played together a lot. It's been, I heard it, described by Joe Marino as sort of a mishmash. So you might expect and hope to see some wins and maybe even some extra pressure cooked up by Ryan Nielsen. I mean, we do have Epinesa back. We do have TJ Sanders back. And then Morgan Fox is not active yet, but we'll wait and see what happens as that goes along, our other signing post-trade deadline. I think the key may be passing to Cook and Ty Johnson again. Texans have excellent cornerbacks, and Kincaid is out. Well, and Kincaid would be useful, actually, tonight over the middle. And, maybe you take that inside zone and have Jackson Haas chip. Get the ball in his hands, he might be able to ramble a little bit. The one game he missed, Bosa had the cast on. That's right. That's when he had the Q-tip, as they were called. You're wrong is in the house. Replying to Viper World. Allen running is nothing like the single wing. The offense runs on an unbalanced offensive line and a fullback and a counter deception in the backfield. Allen is best running out of pass drop backs. Yeah, exactly, where you can actually get a running start from either a pistol or a shotgun situation, and just there's more room, which makes better angles and more vision to be able to punch through. And boy, he still looks like he's getting better to me. AJ might be playing better because of all the preseason trade talk about him. Well, you never know. I do think that Joey Bosa has been a great influence on that room. And I think, even Groot is improving. I mean, you can't help when you get that kind of presence and that kind of talent. And for as much of a bonehead as Nick Bosa might be, Joey is just like the coolest dude ever. I mean, when you've heard his interviews, the guy is chill, and he wants nothing but to win and do well with his team. Allen's run game should be great this season. Teams want to play man against him now, yes. And, of course, what that means is if you're in man coverage, you can have your back to the quarterback. In zone coverage, you're often have your eyes on the quarterback. But good quarterbacks can basically be looking this way and then throw off this way and beat you with their eyes. This is one of the things that Patrick Mahomes is very, very good at. You're wrong. I like 11 personnel tonight with Jackson Haas serving as the main tight end. It can give a fifth blocker while utilizing Haas as a safety valve if needed. Haas pass blocking allows running backs to run routes. Yeah, I mean, I know he's great at run blocking. I don't know how much protection I've seen him in as much, but he's definitely. I mean, you know what I've said about him. I mean, great blocker. I think Kelsey 2.0, and because Kincaid's not a bad blocker, but he kind of strikes me more like a really great version of Mike Gesicki as opposed to. Or even who's the tight end that just got hurt for the Commanders. But at any rate, I think that's the difference between those guys a little bit. But Haas, yeah, chipping and then getting out. We should get the dub tonight. The Texans' run game is ass. Well, hopefully it just doesn't wake up against the Bills, but I don't think it will. I think Buffalo developed on all fronts last week. Something happened with the team. Call it the Tampa Bay tonic, if you will. Bills will be favored in Foxborough next month. Yeah, well, we'll see. This is there's important football coming up now. We're getting to December, and again, the only thing I think with the Bills is that they kind of like that secretariat role. They might really want to have to win the division in the last game of the season rather than having a rest game where basically, I don't know what New England would have done with the first pick, but now I'm, maybe a little upset that, Buffalo actually ended up allowing them to win the end of the season last year because I think New England would have had the first pick rather than the pick where they took Drake May. But that's just like another Patrick Mahomes story, isn't it? We will see. The Bills' run defense is also asked. I think it'll be better tonight, actually. Hey, Ralph, I issue you the challenge to collaborate with Tommy and Mikey from Mafia Sports and Keys and Aramis from PPP on a Mondo Live pod before the season ends. I've done a few shows with Tommy and Mikey, and I haven't been on with them as much of late, and I think sometimes he expects me to show up and I don't because I'm like, well, I want to be invited. I don't want to just crash the party. But yeah, and I can bring him on here also. And then Keys and Aramis from PPP. Yeah, maybe we, do a thing. And, the other thing is I want to put it out there now, I suppose, that I don't know what creators actually are in the Western New York area, but it would be great to assemble with a few and organize something for tailgate time prior to Bills hosting the Bengals on December 7th. Now at 1 p.m., no longer at 4:25 p.m. It was flexed back to 1 p.m. I believe it was mentioned before, maybe the reason for that was Fox wanting to have another game in that slot because I guess Fox is carrying that game. Definitely do that. Our next gen stats is fun for Amazon. You have to check that out, actually, in Next Gen. There's a lot of interesting stuff you can find on it. It's been discussed and approved. It's up to you. Well, thank you very much for that. I will make the contacts, and we will start doing something. I think we need to have some wider things, and I'd like to get with some more people. I've reached out to a couple who haven't really responded, but I maybe not be reaching out to the right guys. So anyway, to continue the comments, we're going to get a Ralph Rant shirt. Well, I'll tell you what, we are been feeling out what the call for them might be. Now have got them sourced. This would be the look. It's also on the back with the design back there. But tell you what, I'm going to have that set up and have those available here shortly now because there has been a couple of requests and we will get that going. So I will let you know. James Cook might go off tonight. Very, very possibly. I think I know who Scott 5566 is now, and I'm probably an idiot for not remembering it. Josh has a perfect record on Thursday nights. Yes, indeed, he does. And listen, there's a score to settle with the Texans. There's a score to settle. Oh, shit, games tonight, totally forgot. Tubi's trying to replace my fuel pump on my '08 Silverado. Well, goodness gracious, I'm glad you know now. We have got now 5 minutes till the inactives, and we are approximately 1 hour and 35 minutes from kickoff. I'm old enough to remember Paul Harvey on the radio. That's the rest of the story, indeed. We will, of course, be doing a post-game show tonight here from the studios at the Ralph Rant. 11:40 p.m. is currently the time I've set for it. If it's ending earlier, if we know it's going to go on or whatever it may be, may get started a little bit early, but probably stick with that time for our post-game tonight. P8 in the fuel line having trouble disconnecting it. Yeah, I've got leaking brake fluid on my Sierra that the guy couldn't get over here today for it. So hopefully tomorrow. Up the irons. Keeping Coleman basically because he is cheap is a weird take. He's basically taking up a roster spot. If it doesn't hurt the team, cut him to free up more options. Well, that's if you want to keep on elevating Gabe Davis, you're going to run out of elevations in one more game. But I just don't see them cutting him at this point. And we'll see what happens in the offseason. I'm sure they would try to, if they wanted to trade him, that'd be far easier. It's easier for the acquiring team because there's not a big contract to assume. Coleman is only halfway through his second year. His play may improve. Better to cut Samuel. And I think the Samuel thing with his availability, that's your best ability, of course, and it's been tough with him with the injuries. He's played well. I mean, he threw a great block last week, but frankly, I think you've got guys that can do that, and I don't think Coleman. I think they're going to give him a third year at this, unless things just go so terribly off the rails. Charles Stone, 930. I also remember Paul and his sign-off. Good day, Harvey. Good day. Yep, I remember that really well. Mom, if you're watching, ask Ralph a question. All right, will this be mom_JP_yes? But I'll be looking for it. And hello, Mom, if you are watching, indeed. And my mother may actually be watching, but she's probably got a tailgate going or something already here. And we are just mere 2 minutes now from the inactives list. Ed's going to take off. Got to run. Go Bills. Thank you very much for being here. Charles Stone with another memory of Paul Harvey. Boy, we got the comments flowing. I would like to see Josh run no huddle offense more, like Kelly used to do. I think it might keep him in rhythm. Well, you know what Kelly was doing too. It was no huddle to an extent when you talk about the K-gun, but it was to the point where Kelly was calling plays, and they weren't necessarily going fast. They were spending the time, instead of huddling, going up and figuring out what he wanted to do, looking at the defense that was in front of him. And you have the play clock to do that, which is why you're not huddling, but no huddle infers like a hurry-up offense, which that wasn't really always the case. Kind of started off with that feel, but then they discovered, I think, what it could do. At World's End, Buffalo in the house. Will Khalil Shakir go crazy tonight or not? He's due, that's for sure. One catch for -3 yards last week in a Bills offensive explosion. And, with a case that you're going to have middle of the field intermediate routes will probably be more available than some things deeper and outside, although I expect the Tyrell Shavers will again be getting open tonight. We shall see, though. Paul Chandler got the best O-line. Let them serve up some pancakes tonight. Ground and pound. Talk that up. Shakir will get a touchdown to celebrate his new baby. I love that. Yes. And congrats to him. I never heard if he had a boy or a girl. I think I heard it first actually from Joe Marino, and Joe didn't seem to know himself. A true running back screen is still missing. The O-line moves very well. No reason why no true screen. True enough. Ease up in the comments, chat, so the old man can catch up with us. Thank you. About a half an hour till inactives. I'm way the freak behind. I don't know if Allen's issue is with reading defense. I think maybe his brain is just too slow and he's calling plays he does not like. Now, I'm not sure about his brain being slow. Excited brain thinks much faster than a non-excited brain, for sure. JP, I hope Khalil does. Just going to pound through him now here. Allen Reed's inaccuracy went on. Result is a perfect game. I expect more of that type of game. Reed's inaccuracy went on. All right, the inactives have just come out here precisely on time. Inactive, wide receiver Keon Coleman. Wide receiver Curtis Samuel. cornerback Jamarcus Ingram, the defensive tackle Fedarian Mathis. You'll remember he was questionable, the only questionable player. And then tackle Chase Lunt, and then, of course, tight end Dalton Kincaid. So those are your inactives for this evening. Keep on going through these comments. You guys keep on pounding them, but I'm like you say, I'm so darn far behind that it's like, and I don't have a producer here to read them. Man, there are a ton of them here. I really appreciate everybody being on. Talking about Holland's walking. I hear Ted Marchabroda being mentioned by Charles Stone. Fume Drummer, he's always here. Is the Texans' best defense in the league title due to their soft schedule? I made that point earlier, and I think especially if you're talking about having played the Titans twice, I mean, I think there's something to that. In the news, Steve Tasker is now a semifinal finalist for the Hall of Fame. That means to be selected to get into the semifinals. Boy, that would be cool. Yeah, Shaq is back as we expected, and definitely, I mean, he's the thumping linebacker that we've been talking about needing in the cases where the Bills have been getting gashed on runs. I mean, on the run last week that scored the touchdown against the Bills, I mean, we saw linemen out there taking out Poyer and taking out Bishop. I mean, where were our linebackers even? And, the outside contain was bad in that game for a time also. Big show tonight. We're having a blast here. You be on live during the game? Well, I hadn't really considered that. I suppose it's always a possibility. I hate making any sort of calls while that's happening because of the fact that I'm getting it on Amazon via YouTube TV in terms of the app via Roku. Actually, it's separate on Roku, but then you often find that it's a bit behind. In fact, I used to try to do, and of course, back in the day when you were just watching normal broadcast television rather than cable television in Western New York, you could turn on the game and turn on the radio. And because both signals have zero latency in the broadcast situation, speed of light, essentially, you could listen to Van Miller call the game while watching it on TV. Now it's very difficult to do that because the two streams are delayed by different amounts. So you try to sync them up, and then sometimes I think it goes awry and they get off. But for that reason, I don't like to be live during the game because I don't want to give away anything if I'm seeing it quicker than someone else or whatever. But I know there are guys that do that. If we can control the ball, we should crack them. Yeah, I believe so. I think the Bills are on a little bit of a roll tonight, and I think it's been soon enough without too much time to allow Joe Brady to overthink and perhaps screw up the game plan for tonight, and instead just let Josh go out and be an artist. Set him up with his palate. Know where you're having to stay away from, and just do some things that will prevent them pulling things off to fool him. For example, the biggest thing you could do is establish, a little bit of a run game. If there's a threat of James Cook getting 7 yards on an inside zone, that's going to open up an awful lot for Buffalo. Now, there's just a text from the guy that I will be going to the game for. He's got season tickets. It's they're in the club area, but not directly under the heated area. It's on the Bills side, and it's like second row and close to the corner. So press boxes are just down to the right, and we will be there for that Cincinnati game. Papa Rock, yeah, thank you very much for the hat. This is A Buffalo Bills custom original. I don't like Thursday games, but I'm glad the Bills aren't playing next Thursday, Thanksgiving. You know, me too, because I'm doing this now and doing a post-game show on even a pregame show and post-game show on Thanksgiving would be tough because, you know, it's you're trying to do the thing with the family and so forth. So, but yeah, I like that. And then hopefully with the Bills getting the win tonight, that makes this glorious weekend of football across Thanksgiving. Because as we all know, I mean, the playoffs and the Super Bowl are great, but the actual high watermark of the fall football season is Thanksgiving Day, 12:30 p.m., whomever at Detroit, and then the game later at Dallas. And of course, in 2019, I mean, that's a fun game to go and rewatch. Josh gets introduced to the country and they go out and they beat the hell out of the Cowboys that night, and we're not supposed to do so. I used to do that teleradio thing. I wish we could do it again when the network announcers are homers for the opposing team. Yeah, right. That's often a problem. You could still do it. You cannot get the Bills radio call though on a mobile device. But if you're at a normal desktop computer, then because they don't send it to mobile devices, but you can get the radio call live on the computer, and then it's just down to getting it aligned. I actually might be watching the game up here in the studio tonight. And if I do so, I might try to actually get that pulled off. So at any rate, we're coming up here on an hour and a half, 90 minutes. I'm sure you guys want to start getting ready for the game. The actual Amazon broadcast gets going at 7 p.m., some 7 minutes from now. And then at 8:15 p.m., of course, kickoff. But we'll want to watch and see what they have to say about the Bills and so forth. So we're going to cut it off here after a few more minutes. Try to get a couple more comments in here. And if SCT 5556 is still there, I think I know who you are. And of course, you'll get the first t-shirt. But thank you very much also for asking. And they're going to get them on the site. We've got some things in the works here now that we have some stuff going on. Shakir is hurt. He is a little bit. He was questionable. Not questionable. He was though an injury listing but limited, but he will play. Feeling good about tonight's game. Donald Ohino, yeah, let's go Buffalo, absolutely. And I'm feeling good about it also. It's so confounding to me why they like Holland's walk. Yes, and that's, you know, been a talking point. I don't know if the Bills, sometimes it just doesn't seem as good when you actually have that player. And on the other hand, maybe it's good for the Bills to understand for other receivers they do have that, look, you can have a guy that you think has X level of production, but then he goes elsewhere and now you see him have that level of production. It might tell you something about yourself. I believe that's actually true. Yeah, props to all moms that can still watch. Mine is in heaven. We'll bless her. And we know they're watching too. It's just their time is slowed down to zero. It's really cool. That gets into that whole special theory of relativity. Buffalo Plus, another good Bills podcast. Absolutely. There are a lot of them out there. Definitely. Cover One Network is great, of course, for everything they present. All right. Well, guys, what a great show. Thank you for all the comments. We're hoping here tonight I won't make hard predictions across the line like some other guys do. I do predict the Bills win. I think we'll see the Bills' running game get back on track. I think Josh Allen will still demonstrate some things with receivers that we haven't seen, going right into the teeth of what that defense presents in their secondary. And I think we'll see the defense have one of its better games tonight, because I think they're going to get it done, especially versus Davis Mills, quarterback. So, as always the case, please subscribe to the channel. If you haven't, we'll be back tonight at 11:40 p.m. with the post-game show. And until then, be good, do good, God bless, and go Bills. I am the Ralph, and this is the Ralph Rant. Let's go get them. Buffalo 34, Texans 20.